Stephen Robinson's aiming for his first League Cup final in 8 years. The Northern Irishman guided Motherwell to the Hampden showpiece in 2017. Now, though, the St Mirren manager is going up against the other club closest to his managerial heart in Saturday's semi-final. And there'll be no mixed emotions as he plots the downfall of the Steelman. I'm Derek McGregor and this is One on One, and Stephen opens up on his close affinity with Motherwell but his greater love now for St Mirren. Stephen, what would it mean to St Mirren, to Paisley, for you to get to a final?
It would be incredible. I've been lucky enough to do it before in a smaller club in the SPL, and you've seen what it done for the town. It brought everybody together. It creates a real narrative around the football club of positivity, and it's a once in a lifetime sometimes for some fans. So to be able to give them that opportunity, these players would love to be able to achieve that.
Can I just rewind there, Stephen? Did you say smaller club? Is this you playing mind games already with Motherwell?
No, I mean teams like ourselves and Motherwell, to get to them opportunities, to get to finals. It doesn't come around every season. And when you get that opportunity, you have to grab it with both hands.
Honest reaction, when you heard that you'd drawn Motherwell in the semi-final, what was your first thought?
Genuinely, I thought it's going to be a very, very difficult game, and I would imagine both of us wanted each other. I would imagine Motherwell wanted us, and we wanted them out of the two bigger teams, obviously, in the competition on paper. So, yeah, I would imagine both teams think they've got a chance. We certainly do, and I'm sure Motherwell feel exactly the same.
Amid everything else you've achieved at St Mirren, was a decent cup run the one thing that was eating away at you?
Yeah, the reality is you're not going to win the league. It's very, very doubtful anyway you're going to be winning the league. So the opportunity comes in the cup competitions. You need a tremendous amount of luck. You need good draws. The last time I got to finals, we had to beat all the big boys to get there: Aberdeen, Hearts, Rangers, and then they lost out to Celtic, unfortunately. But it's an opportunity, as I say, to get silverware, which doesn't come around often in the Scottish game because of the calibre and the resources you're playing against.
As a manager, and you've done it as you were just saying there, when you're leading your team out of Hampden, how good a moment is that? How, in terms of a pride?
Yeah, I think the semi-final, the Rangers one and the Aberdeen one, leading Motherwell out for that game, and the end product to it, obviously the win. It's something we can be very, very proud of. And as managers, again, same as players and clubs, it doesn't come around every day. There's so much struggle. There's so many things that go unnoticed. People see the Saturday, that's it, they see the 90 minutes, but to actually get to that point on the Saturday, there's so much in between, so many people that play a huge part in it being successful. So you represent everybody as you walk out there, so certainly be a proud moment, and one we want to make sure we have a good end product to.
Your achievements as Buddy's manager, remarkable. I think a lot of fans think you walk in water. How does that make you feel? What they think of you, and the reaction to what you've done here, the group of players you've got here?
I'm always worried because those opinions change very quickly, so I'm always striving to keep that opinion. I'm very aware in football, 3 or 4 games you're suddenly a bad manager again, but I've got a fantastic relationship with the club and the supporters. I'm humbled, to be honest with you, some of the things that have happened and some of the compliments that I've had and the banners they've put up of you. I'm quite a reserved guy away from football, so as I say, I'm very, very humbled, and I respect the amount of money and time and effort that's put into doing these things and supporting this football club, so it means a hell of a lot.
With every top achievement here, Stephen, does that in itself bring more pressure? Do the expectations grow higher? I know that's clearly what you and the players will want, but nevertheless, is it an even greater pressure that you try to live up to?
It does raise expectations, yeah, sometimes to a level that, it's difficult to maintain, but I think we've got a realistic fan base. We don't have a big investor. We're a fan-owned football club. The actual fan ownership has only got 1,200 members, and we get crowds of 6,000-7,000. So, we don't have any outside investment that can wave magic wands at it. So everybody connected with the football club knows that it's a process. It's chipping away at things constantly, making the training facilities better, making the playing squad better, and ultimately trying to gain percentages every season, every week, every day to keep moving forward.
Do you often wonder what it would be like to have a huge budget? Does every manager do that?
I'd love a huge budget. I do find it amusing when people say, well, he's only ever worked with a small budget, as if that's like, it's easier to do.
Yeah.
You know, you have less support staff, you have less data, you've less, players, you've less, as I say, scouting network. We've got one scout in the whole world. So of course, if you've got more money, you buy a more finished product. You're able to, run the club better, and you don't have to skimp and scrape for absolutely everything. So of course, having more money has a lot of advantages. It also comes with its own pressure and its own problems, as we can see with other teams, and expectation and instant results are probably expected. But of course, you'd love to have more money to do things quicker.
To be fair, never mind the pressure on you. What about the pressure on that one scout? He can never be off sick, can he?
No. John's managed to get some data analysis stuff in now as well. So
John Park, of course.
Yeah, so he's certainly trying his best to make the situation work. Previously Martin Foyle was here for 4 or 5 years when I've been here, and done absolute wonders. And John's trying to do the same now, trying to pull people that other teams have missed into markets that other people maybe haven't touched yet. And as I say, you look for attributes in players. We'll get players that aren't a finished article and have something that we've got to work with. So that's our model. It's worked to an extent so far, and we have to continue to try and build that.
To be fair, as the proverbial one scout goes, John Park head of recruitment is not a bad one to have. Martin Foyle was a hell of an act to follow, but John Park, with his pedigree, Celtic and Hibs and throughout Europe, was a tremendous acquisition for yourselves.
Yeah, I've been very, very lucky. Martin's was the only person I'd work with, up until John came in. And a brilliant relationship, recruited incredibly for us here, right up to the start of this season. And John's come in with numerous contacts. I have a very good relationship with John. We didn't know each other, but we built a really good relationship together. And he's someone that has multiple contacts, and that's vital at a club of our size.
When you became manager here, Stephen, obviously you were confronted by any number of issues. I think within 4 or 5 months, the debt at the club came out, which was stunning, alarming, of course, as well. But deep down, did you have an ambition that if you had the time and could stabilise things, that you would love to get to a final, maybe even dream of winning silverware? Was that a long term, or could you not even think about that?
I think at that stage it was on a day-to-day basis. It was a case of, let's make the club survive. We had to, had to strip everything back. We had to strip us right down to the bare bones. And over them 3.5 years now, we've tried to build it back up again. And as we've progressed and we've brought players in and we've had relative success with top 6 finishes, that the club invest every single penny that they get from the revenue brought in by crowds, by selling merchandise. It goes straight back into the first team and academy. It doesn't go elsewhere. We need more secretaries, we need more admin staff, we need better pitches at the training ground. But every penny that we have, the board invest that, and they try and make this club better and run better. And that's just to stay at the bottom. It's just to stay at the bottom of the financial parameters you need in the Premier League. Everything's moved on. Every club in the country's got private investors and millions of pounds being pumped into the clubs, and data analysis being pumped into it. And just to stay where we are, we have to take a risk. We have to gamble on being successful. Otherwise, we would get relegated. And that's the sort of balancing act that Keith and Jim and the board have to get. And a reality that the fan base maybe don't realise sometimes is, you have to gamble beyond your means just to exist at where we are.
I mean, the 3.5 years here have been sensational for you, the coaching staff, Martin Foyle, now John Park, your players. Has it been a blur when you think about it, to get to where you are now from when you came in? Has it just felt like it's just gone like that? Yeah,
it seems like it's gone very quickly. When people said 400 games and you've been here 3.5 years, it doesn't feel like that. Every day you come in trying to be better. I demand really, really high standards here from everybody, from the grounds people, to the people that cook the food, to the playing staff. And I've got a group of staff and players that drive that. So, it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable coming to work. I enjoy the challenges that the job brings, and the rewards it brings at times as well. And seeing people be successful. I'm not one of these people that I support Scottish football. When Rangers play in Europe, Celtic play in Europe, I want them both to win. I want Hibs and Hearts to do well. I want everybody to do well. I just like a good narrative about Scottish football and seeing people be successful. So it's nice to contribute to that and help people along their way.
I never have a problem telling people, Stephen, I'm biased when it comes to you. We go back over 30 years and great admiration for you. I also think one of your greatest qualities is you get people to rally behind you. I think your personality, I think you bond people very easily, and I think that's a huge strength at a club like St Mirren. And you can see it, the players and everyone behind the scenes. Do you feel that here, that real unity, that bond, that you're all moving the same direction?
Yeah, I use the phrase, anything that makes a boat go forward. And anybody that's not making it go forward, they have to go. They get told and then they have to go, because we can't afford any negativity. You know, you see the atmosphere around the place. Everyone's doing 2 and 3 jobs to make this go forward. And we've got boys that drive that, staff that drive that, and the minute you stop doing that, then it's a struggle, because you have to try and defy the odds constantly, week in, week out. And you can see the togetherness throughout the whole football club, and that's probably what's made this 3.5 years very special.
Does that, and to your credit, you often pay tribute to the people behind the scenes that don't get a profile, that nobody knows about, but you know their value. Are you motivated as much to do it for them as anyone else at the club? You know,
I've said to this group of staff, and that's the off-field staff as well, to get to a final, to give them a day out. You know, I've alluded to it about all the work that goes in before you see the 90-minute product on a Saturday is incredible, and we do it with a bare minimum of staff, you know, and secretaries and admin and Keith's staff at the ground. They're all doing more than they should do for I would imagine a very small wage. So they're dedicated to this football club, and we've done it at Motherwell. To see people so happy, and you know, when we got into Europe here, seeing the fan base, people that once in a generation seeing that there, that's, you know, it gives you a real buzz that you can affect people's lives like that and give them that opportunity for that day. So, yeah, it puts a little bit of pressure on you, but we enjoy that. I enjoy pressure. I enjoy trying to prove people wrong and, as I say, reward people for their hard work.
If I was to ask you what this club means to Paisley, how would you respond?
I probably didn't realise how much. Until we got to Europe, and you know, seeing grown men cry, seeing granddads come up and thank you, and older ladies in the supermarket when I was doing my shopping, thanking you and cuddling you, you realise the impact you have. You know, I don't live in Paisley. I live out in the countryside somewhere, so I'm not in amongst it all the time. But to see the joy you bring people, to see the fans and the players celebrating, it's special. You realise how much of an impact you have in people's lives.
I was going to say, is that humbling?
It is, you know, because I'm nothing special. I'm just a guy doing my job to the best of my ability. And what I do, if I succeed or I fail on a Saturday, it's no stones left unturned. And I think that's a bare minimum you can give people that dedicate their lives to this football club.
Unlike a lot of managers, Stephen, you're not one that seeks a profile. You do what you have to do, obviously, in terms of your media duties, because you're a top flight manager, but you're not somebody that actively goes. You don't have an ego like that, Stephen, do you?
No, and maybe that's to my detriment. I've been told if you want to move on in the game, you have to play the game. And that means getting into boardrooms and going out for dinners and taking press guys out for dinners. And as you'll clarify, I've never taken you out for dinner.
Wow.
My wife will probably say I don't take her out for dinner much either. So maybe I'm just tight, I don't know.
You've never even bought me a coffee, Stephen.
No, I do what I do. I think I can coach as good as anybody else. I'm very confident in my ability. I know I can get groups of players to play for me, and I know that the staff that we employ are top class. But I don't go seeking attention. I don't put myself perhaps in areas and positions to maybe mark up myself, and maybe that's to my detriment at times.
Well, but at the same time, you're entitled to back yourself, and you know you're working at the top level in this country. You're in a last 4 at the weekend, so you will back yourself that you'll feel that what you know and how you operate, you're as good as anyone else.
Well, I come from a background of coach education. You know, I delivered on the pro licence and A licence. I've seen a lot of coaches come through, and I've seen a lot of good ones and a lot of bad ones. But I'm very, very confident in what I do. I know I can get teams organised to play. You have to play to your resources. You have to play to your strengths. I think we play some fantastic football. I'm a big believer in not your centre halves having all the touches of the ball and goalkeepers being the most creative player in your team. You know, if you've got 60 million like Pep, yeah, we can do that. But I want to get the ball in 2-3 passes into the opposition half. You know, we want to take 2 touches, move it over the halfway line, get our better players on the ball, create chances, play with a real high tempo, deliver balls into the box, and you know, it's exciting, it's good to watch, and people have bought into it. So I'm very confident wherever I am that I can do that.
Do you feel that no matter who the manager is, you're only, to a degree, you're only as good as the backroom staff that you select as well? Because they make it all as well. You obviously need the backroom staff. You're the leader, but you need good people beside you as well. Yeah, and you'll feel you've picked the right ones here. I've
just done a talk on the pro licence for the Irish FA, and I spoke about staffing. Staffing's massive. You know, the two things that are huge in a football club is recruitment and staffing. You have to surround yourself with good people that are better than you at certain aspects. Don't fear people. You know, and I always try and employ people that are better at certain aspects of the game, the preparation, the maybe a little bit different in personalities as well, because you need a mix and a blend. And I've been very, very lucky in both clubs that I've stayed with any length of time, Motherwell and St Mirren, that I've a fantastic relationship with the staff here out with football. I believe I've got the best staff in the business for what they do, and it's a very, very small staff, but they give everything. They're so dedicated, and you've mentioned earlier to do something special with this group would be fantastic. I'm sure every manager says exactly the same, but you build a relationship and you've a lot of time for these people. They don't get paid life-changing money like some clubs. And our reward is success. Our reward is the togetherness and the times that we enjoy in the training ground.
I think the players you've got here, Stephen, you know, so many people have got a big regard for your players here, what they've achieved. And then, from a media point of view, any time we speak to them, I think we're always impressed with their character, who they are, what they've achieved. But the tightness of the squad as well is a big reason why St Mirren have achieved what they have.
I think it's just respect. I think there's a real respect around the football club for each other, for every member of staff. And they keep their feet in the ground. They don't get too carried away. Sometimes we get a couple of good results. You have to bring them down a little bit and they remember what they're good at. But, you know, on the whole, we've got a group that is really desperate for success. They respect everybody, as I said, around the football club. And I think that's what the whole thing is built on. I look at the All Blacks and what they do and how down to earth they are. They help with the kit, they help with the food. And we have a couple of days where staff are off. Well, we'll help, we'll clean the dishes. Everyone will do their own dishes. They'll tidy up their own plates. Why wouldn't you? You do that at home. So I think you have to remain grounded throughout life. You know, we're no better than the people that pay their £25 and £30 to come and watch us. So I think you have to remain grounded to be successful.
I quite like the fact before we came out the canteen area to do this interview, somebody had put up the picture on the wall and it's you, and there's a bubble coming out saying shut that door, put that dish away. Is that you?
Yeah, well, they don't put their plates back, or they don't put their...
Is that a fine?
It's a fine, yeah. I think it's a £5 fine now. So when we have people off, you know, we're trying to get the boys to keep the food warm. So small little things, closing the gate in the training ground, you know, just small little things. And that all goes towards the players. So they make all the fines up themselves. They have their own discipline, and it goes to their night out or day out, whatever they do, you know, around Christmas time or the end of the season. So that camaraderie is important. I think it's really, really important to have that in the football club.
Look, I appreciate very much that it's game to game, but when you go into a semi-final and you get to that stage, should the players have that ultimate ambition to go all the way? Should they be thinking that?
100%, of course. You know, it's 95, 96 minutes if there's no extra time, and it's, you know, a one-off opportunity. You've got to be the best version of yourself. You've got to play with no fear, and you've got to play like St Mirren, which is, you know, people say, oh, they don't like playing against St Mirren, so we have to make sure we do that. I believe we're coming up against a very good side in Motherwell. You know, they play a really good brand of football, and their managers come in and done extremely well in a new country. But we believe that we've got the players that can cause them problems, and if we played our strengths in, that has to be our ultimate goal.
How much does it rile you when people, certain pundits, etc., keep on talking about the style of football St Mirren play?
It doesn't actually bother me. You know, I said in the press before, I don't really care. I'm very, very confident in what I do. I know the parameters we work under. I know the quality the players have. And, you know, everyone's got an opinion. They're paid to do that. They have to have an opinion, rightly or wrongly. Whether I agree with it doesn't really matter. I always say, if you wouldn't cross the road to hear someone's opinion, then don't let it bother you. So that's the way I work in life, and you know, I have a total belief in what I do and what the squad do and these players. So I don't take too much heed of things like that. That's their job. They have to do that.
St Mirren, Motherwell, do you see a lot of similarities in the clubs? You know, maybe the areas they're, you know, where the team's based, where they come from, the ethos of the clubs. Are there, you know, comparisons?
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities. You know, it's a working class community. The the local population, they love their football club. You know, they support it through thick and thin. It's families that come to watch, you know, and their sons or grandsons are all supporters. And it's a real unity with both clubs. And I've been very lucky to experience cup finals with Motherwell, have a great relationship with fans and the board, and I've got the same again here. So I'm very, very privileged. You know, it's a smaller club that the fan base is building and growing. The football club probably in reality was a little bit behind where Motherwell had got to, and we've managed. I think they're on par now. I think the facilities we've got here now, the playing staff and the support staff around it is growing, and yeah, there's a lot of similarities between the two football clubs and the towns.
I think in terms of St Mirren, certainly it will give you huge satisfaction that over the period there's been record crowds at the Smisa Stadium. And I suppose that's maybe the ultimate barometer of where the team's going and what you have achieved and how the town feels about the club. When you're getting record attendances, the atmosphere's fantastic. That tells you it's a vibrant club. Things are moving on the way up.
It's going in the right direction, and you know it's difficult to keep pushing that, but you have to. People have bought into this group of players. They've bought into the style of play, the way we play, the energy we play with, and I can't take the credit for that. That's players. Players do that. They inspire the fans. And if you're coming here, I always say play for the badge in the front, not the name on the back of your shirt. You know, and that's something I had up in Motherwell. I think it might still be up in their gym as well, that we put up there. And I think that's all fans want. They want people that give absolutely everything. You know, they sit in the stand and say, well, you know, I could run more than him. Never let them say that, because they would give anything to do that. And if you go with that, then add talent to that, add organisation to that, then it's, for me, it's a recipe for success.
I think they love the fact that you're so animated in the touchline as well, Stephen. I mean, there's heart and sleeve stuff, isn't it? I mean,
no, not as bad as it used to be.
Really?
Well, yeah, up until last week, it wasn't as bad as it used to be. But no, I'm a lot calmer now. It's, I think society breeds that as well. We produce kids now that don't really speak. They don't communicate with each other. You don't have leaders and voices on the pitch like you used to. So I think you find a lot of times you're trying to actually encourage and speak. And sometimes we'll do drills and training where Doug will be the only person that can coach, or Marcus is the only person that can coach. And it's not just my voice, but it's Dan out of the game. You know, people don't do that anymore. And perhaps that's my excuse why I'm a little bit more animated on the touchline.
Sadly, I'm old enough, Stephen. I can remember you as a player in your younger days.
I was animated then as well.
You were. I mean, you heard you before we saw you, but I mean, on the pitch, I mean, it was all or nothing. See, when you look at players now, are there very few players that are like that now? Do you think players generally now are calmer? They're not as animated or vocal, should I say?
Yeah, I think the game's changed. You know, it is a lot more technical than it used to be. You're not allowed. It's almost no physical contact anymore. You know, some of the tackles that you used to see would be crazy to see them in football now, and rightly so. So, you know, I think the game's changed. Players have evolved. Our society's evolved. You know, they're now a society where, you know, criticism doesn't really work. Constant criticism of people at any workplace doesn't work. You've got to, you know, it's now about the psychology of football. You know, how, you know, you've turned up to play football. You have to be in the right frame of mind. You have to deal with social media. You have to deal with criticism. And, you know, as a staff, that's always a learning curve, and you have to move with the times. And I believe we've done that. You know, we've got psychology. You know, we've got every means possible to make it successful on a Saturday for these young players.
Have you got any special preparations for Hampden at all? I mean, will the players get a chance to go before the semi-final, just have a walk around or anything like that?
No, absolutely not. We have to treat this like any other game. I've tried both ways. I've been to two semis, we won both, and we played one up, we played one down, and we won them both. I tried the same in the final, we won neither. So I'm not sure there's a right or wrong way to do it, but what I do believe is these young men are under huge pressure anyway. You know, they've got people turning up, families turning up, huge expectation on them. I believe you have to take that off them, let them go and play their game. We are very well organised. You know, that isn't going to change by not turning up at Hampden, by not staying at a hotel. You know, we'll do what we always do on a day of a game. It's practically like a home game for us. So we'll have pre-match at home. We'll turn up for the game and we'll be ready to go.
How much belief do you have in the players, you know, that they'll be suited to the vast Hampden pitch, the occasion, the stadium?
Well, we've got a huge amount of energy in the squad. We've got real good legs and energy and athleticism in the team. So, the big areas don't scare us. Our build that we've, been working on for months has been very, very good. Our ownership of the game has improved massively. So, it's set for two good teams to go and play. People say play different styles. We play fantastic football in the right areas. I believe in possession stats in the opposition half, not possession stats in my own 18-yard box. So, that's my philosophy. That's how I want to play and how this suits this team to play, because ultimately it doesn't really matter what my philosophy is. It's what suits your players. And I believe we've got a style that suits us. I believe that the Hampden pitch will suit us. And, it's all to play for, certainly.
When the players come out, when you come out the tunnel and you just see that large bank of St Mirren fans, that's going to be an incredible moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll be looking for my youngest because he'll be right in amongst them. My older boy will probably be in some VIP area because he'll be lording it. But it's a fantastic day for everybody. Your family's all going to be there. Everybody's there. My wife's even going to come to the game. She never comes to any football matches, so it'll be a special occasion. But I want to keep my record going in semi-finals because I've been on the end of defeats at Hampden in the finals, and it's not a nice experience.
It's incredible. It's over 10 years since you came into Scottish football. Number 2 to Ian Barraclough at Motherwell. Did Motherwell as a club, did it very quickly take a hold of you? The people at the club, the fans that we were touching on earlier on?
Yeah, I had a brilliant relationship with the Motherwell fans. I was there for a long time, 6.5 years as assistant and manager. And as I say, I had a very, very good relationship, really successful times, some very good teams. So, there's always a piece of you always looks out for Motherwell. The club's changed now, different people involved in it than when I was there. I had fantastic people in Alan Burrows and Jim McMahon who were so good to me and my family. So, it'll always hold a special place to me, Motherwell, but I've got the exact same here now. I've got people that really care for the football club who have been a fantastic help to me. And as I say, it's going to be a really, really interesting game, but one that we'll be doing everything in our part to win. I
mean, you left Motherwell, obviously there was an ill-fated spell at Oldham, but you very quickly came back. It was 7 months later you came back, number 2 to Mark McGee. Then within 2 weeks you became interim manager, then quickly get confirmed. And after that, your record at Motherwell was astounding, Stephen. I mean, I think the first time in 67 years, both domestic cup finals in the one season. That was remarkable. I mean, some of the happiest days that Motherwell fans have had.
Yeah, there were brilliant occasions. We finished third, we got into Europe. A lot of the young players that were introduced to the squad at that time, Chris Cadden, Alan Campbell, Cedric Keeper, Louis Mull. So there was some really, really good memories from that, and really, really good times. So, ultimately we want to do the same again here. We want to create these memories at St Mirren as well.
I mean, the first thing you did though, was you saved the club from relegation. You kept them up, and then within another 3-4 months, you're winning a semi-final. You're getting to the League Cup final. Extraordinary rise from there. I mean, do you still, I know you're all in it, St Mirren, but do you still, your mind cast back to those days and think, wow?
Yeah, sliding doors moments really, because I'd left Oldham. I had a chance to go back as under-21 manager in Northern Ireland and Michael, and that suited me. Mark asked me to come over and help him with a couple of games, and he ended up getting sacked after the Dundee game. So, if I hadn't went back, perhaps I wouldn't have got the job. But yeah, you look back and think, we actually recruited 13 players that summer. I had to make huge decisions on players and staff. People like Stephen Pearson, Keith Lasley, James McFadden.
Big decisions.
That's
Stephen.
Probably why Faddy doesn't like me now, actually, when on the TV. But big decisions, coaching staff and playing staff, and ultimately, if it hadn't went right, that would have been the end of me.
I actually thought that kind of demonstrated your mindset as a manager, Stephen, because you're talking club legends at Motherwell there. You didn't mess about. You did it for the right reasons. It wasn't personal, purely professional. But that's a huge decision to make. Yeah,
it was a tough decision. I felt it was the right decisions at the time. Obviously, Keith was a captain at the time and made him my assistant manager. James had worked with Mark and didn't really want to coach at that stage, want to continue playing. And then we had Stephen Pearson, Steve McManus, Stephen Hamill, boys that had played hundreds and hundreds of games were legends at Motherwell, but I just felt we needed to renew the club, we needed to get more energy in. But I wanted to keep these boys close as well, and we're able to give them jobs that I think has gone on to benefit Motherwell massively, and and they're now all working at bigger clubs or working within football in some capacity. So I think them decisions were right.
League Cup semi-final, you beat Rangers at Hampden, which Motherwell fans love. You had a brilliant Rami with Pedro Caixinha on the touchline. Unforgettable. I mean, when I watched it...
Actually quite innocent there. I didn't say anything, I don't think. I think Pedro was frustrated that day, and he obviously got a bit upset with me, and then I remember getting sent off. And
who could get upset with you, Steve?
I know, I can't understand it.
You're a mild-mannered, easy-going guy.
Exactly. And then Louis Malt scored the chip from about 25 yards, and I was in the stand celebrating. So yeah, it was. I'd rather been on the touchline celebrating, I have to say, but it was a great moment.
I mean, it was a square goal. I mean, it was a belter.
I can't remember that. I'm denying that.
But did you not speak up for each other at the subsequent hearing? Was there not a case of did you not defend him, or he defended you? Or?
I think it was absolutely nothing. I had a lot of respect for Pedro. He was very nice to me. So, with total respect for each other, it was one of those moments where, we're both very passionate in terms of winning football matches and didn't agree with some of the decisions. So I think it was blown out of all proportion.
Probably a silly misunderstanding. I mean, he probably couldn't understand your accent, Steve.
I'm surprised he did, to be fair. I didn't understand him. We were quite amicable at the end of it. So, no, look, these things happen in football, don't they? So certainly no hard feelings.
When it came to leaving Motherwell 2020, I think it was December 2020, tell me what your frame of mind was at that time, Stephen.
I felt I couldn't do any more. We'd achieved absolutely everything. We got to Europe, we finished third. COVID was there. I'd spoke about that, previously about it wasn't like managing a football club. You were a doctor, you were a counsellor. And I just wanted a break. I just felt it was time to have a break. And
did you feel drained?
Yeah, well, absolutely knackered. I take, a lot of responsibility. When you're at smaller clubs, everything falls to yourself. And I just thought, this is time. I had a brilliant relationship with the chairman, Jim McMahon, who at the time wanted me to go on holiday for a month, actually. Wouldn't let me resign. Wanted me to go to his villa in Portugal. And I didn't think how we could explain that to the fans, why I wasn't at any games, but I was sunbathing in Portugal while they were getting beat. So I didn't think that was appropriate. But, obviously, Jim rated me, wanted me to stay in the job, and was trying to do everything possible. But I just felt for everybody, for me, for the football club, for my family, we just wanted a wee break, and I took that, and I think it was the right decision.
To be honest, just between you and I, did you think about it?
Oh, aye, 100%. If he'd have said 6 months in Portugal, I might have took it. But I had a holiday booked to Dubai, so I couldn't change my mind.
What manager halfway through a season gets an offer like that?
Fantastic. It shows the level of the man he was.
What the hell are you thinking about saying no?
True, very true. In hindsight, I probably should have took it.
But in all seriousness, was it a moment... How long had you been thinking about that? Had it been on your mind for a while, or was it just one day did you come in and you go, I can't go further with the club?
No, it was over time. It was over a period of time. We were on a bad run as well. As I say, it was the COVID period, which wasn't enjoyable. There's no fans. Football without fans it's pointless. There's no point. I didn't get it at all. You're having lots of problems with people's health, and the scrutiny was constantly on you. And I just thought, no, I'm going to have a break. I didn't think I could do any more at Motherwell. As I said, I had a great relationship with Alan and Jim and the board at Motherwell. And I spoke openly and honestly with them, and they accepted that. They talked me out of it a couple of times.
Really?
Prior
to that?
Yeah, prior to that, probably, in the 6 weeks prior to that. And I just thought, somebody needs to come in and give it something new. I've been there 7 years. I took a lot of the sessions when Mark was there. I'd taken a lot of the sessions when Ian was there. And it was constantly my voice, my ideas. And I just felt for everybody, I had a real feeling for the football club. I wanted the best for the football club, and I just felt that was the best thing to do.
Alan Burrows, now of course Chief Executive at Aberdeen, you had a very close relationship with Alan at Motherwell, didn't you? And probably closer than most managers, Chief Execs. And still today a very good friend for you.
Yeah, I think we had more fights than any other manager and chief executive as well. So don't think it was always roses. But Alan employed me. He's somebody I had huge respect for, and he was what all good chief execs do. He didn't interfere. He trusted my opinion. He trusted our recruitment, and he trusted us, in running the football side of the football club. So that's how it was. As I say, away from football, he was so supportive to me and my family, and very kind to us, and was always had my back. I've maintained a very good relationship with him. You know, like to see him doing well. You know, he's got a fantastic job now at a big club at Aberdeen, and you know, I've no doubt he'll continue to be successful.
Does he hope that St Mirren beat Motherwell on Saturday?
I would doubt it. He's a Motherwell fan. He wouldn't even text me good luck, I wouldn't imagine. But no, you know, Alan, I'd imagine he'll still have a soft spot for Motherwell somewhere.
What do you make of the Motherwell side now? The football they play, and indeed, what do you make of how the club is just now?
I don't know the ins and outs of the football club anymore. You know, obviously the personnel's changed, and the people at the top of the fan ownership model's changed. So I don't really know many of them anymore. But as a team, they've done well. I'm sure Jens will probably think they want to win more games, as we do. Similar to ourselves, lots of draws, lots of good stuff, and looking for an end product, which they got on Saturday and we didn't. You know, but they're a tough team to play against. They play some really good football, really good build-up play, and I think he signed really well and recruited really good players.
You're 50 now.
Aye, all right, Derek.
I've got to get a wee jibe back in. Let's
keep that quiet.
Let's not 58, Stephen. I mean, come on now. Who, in a general sense, who are the managers that have made you?
There's been a lot. I've been very, very lucky to work with my first, at Spurs, Terry Venables, who was an incredible coach, incredible man manager. And I was only a young boy at the time in around the first team. Ozzy Ardelius, who gave him a debut at Spurs. And then from there, I was very, very privileged. Mel Machin, David Moyes, and all the international managers that I work with. And, Michael O'Neill, towards obviously the coaching side of things, had huge influence on me in terms of man management and temperament and how to handle things. And, you take a little bit from each and every one of them and try and put it into your own stamp and into your own team.
Have a lot of those managers got in touch with you that they've maybe recognised the successes you've had and they've maybe sent you a message saying well done or keep it going, or have you subsequently seen them over the years? None of them.
So they mustn't think I'm doing very well.
They've just forgotten about you. Yeah. Oh dear, oh dear.
Football, sometimes it's you're passing ships in the night, really. You're so involved with people, and then you leave football clubs. I was at Luton for 7 years, and I've never been back to Luton. I've never been to watch a game. I've never had the opportunity, just because I've always been in work, and schedules take over. When you do get a little bit of downtime, I spend it with my family. I spend it with my wife and my dogs, my family back in Northern Ireland as well when I get the opportunity. So, I'm not one for mixing too much with football people.
I mean, the build-up to this final, we're more used to hearing about footballers having cruciates, and one of your beloved dogs has got a cruciate, and that's on your mind as well, because I know what the dogs mean to you.
Yeah, it's a disaster.
Alfie.
It's absolute disaster. Yeah, my oldest dog, Alfie's, he's done his cruciate on deadline day. Funny enough, when he was in here chasing balls, so he's had a cruciate operation. So he's in a cage for 4 weeks. So we're coming through it. We're getting to the end of it where I can start running about again. But they keep me seeing in a crazy world of football.
Well, I mean, people think it's just all consuming football, but I mean, that'll bother you. See, that'll upset you. That'll be in your mind. Poor Alfie.
Oh, believe me, they're extremely important to me, as important as football. I'm very big into my family. We love our dogs, obviously, and we spend a lot of time with them. And that's how we get away. Myself and Robin walk the dogs, for miles every day. Well, we did until Alfie got his cruciate. But it's a release. It's a release. It's a catch up. It's normality from the crazy world that you live in terms of the spotlight you're under a lot of times.
Stephen, as always, grateful for your time, and I'm delighted you've got another occasion like Saturday. I wish you the best.
Cheers, Derek. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.